It's in our nature to protect the ones we love, to stand up to any danger, to be strong and courageous, to always be prepared, to keep our family safe, to be the first line of defense. We are born to protect.
What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Hellcat and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be doing your best gun for your first gun and wants to stay away from 2020 edition. Our original video is almost 4 years old, and with the entire pandemic and everything going on, there are a lot of new shooters coming into the community, which is awesome. That's one of the good things that's coming out of this, and hopefully we can help a lot of you guys out and just kind of give you an idea of what to look for, maybe some more information when you go into a gun shop and you're making your first purchase. Now, one thing I want to say right off the bat, that video that you've seen is not exclusive to new shooters. That's experienced shooters, concealed carriers, people that aren't going to conceal carry, that just own a gun. If you ever have to pull your gun in self-defense, somebody's going to get charged, and you want to make sure legal and financial protection, you're covered, okay? There are all kinds of things that can happen, civil suits and all kinds of things. People will bail out, or they will plea out, but they can never own a gun again. I mean, this stuff is serious. I mean, this is the real deal. Make sure you use that link down in the description box, because those guys are awesome. They don't reimburse you. They're there from you from day one, and they will help support you. They support us as well, so they're an awesome company. We've been with them since 2015. Don't ignore that. That should be one of the first things you're going to do whenever you buy a gun. Make sure you leave a little bit in the budget for that. So what we're going to cover today, obviously I can't tell you what's going to be the best gun for every single person, but we're going to cover a broad range of firearms, from your micro 9s to your full size 9 and 45, the caliber debate, reliability. Pretty much all these guns have been reliable for us, so I'm not going to be, telling you about some, junky gun or anything like that. Pretty much all these guns are reliable, and a lot of modern firearms are reliable. Safety is key, so if you're a new shooter, obviously keeping your finger off of the trigger, knowing the 4 rules of safety is pertinent. You have to know that. You have to use that. Make sure you get a safe. These kinds of things, you have to leave some room in the budget for these kinds of things, because it's not just buying a gun and ammo, okay? Things like, which gun is best for me and why. We're going to cover things like that. These guns are really, I think the pistols are the best guns for new shooters. Shotguns and rifles are great, but they limit you because you can't carry those guns everywhere with you like you can a pistol. Now, of course, you want to check your local and state laws depending on what you can do in your given state, but pistols are a great option because you can learn fundamentals of shooting and trigger control and sight control and things like that. And also pretty much have it with you wherever you go, within inside the legal limits of your state, of course. But it gives you a lot of different options. Home defense, concealed carry down the road, which we're going to do a separate video all on its own. But pistols are a great option, and you need to learn the fundamentals of shooting before you even start thinking about carrying. That's at least our opinion. But what we found this week is that, or these past couple weeks, is that this is the most inclusive community you're ever going to find. There's no limit on who can own a right. This is a human right, and there's been so many people, left, right, doesn't matter, man. This is for everybody. So that's what's really cool about this, man, is there's no gender boundaries or race boundaries. This is for everyone, which is really awesome in my opinion, I think. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to cover a lot here, and we're going to cover things like how the gun shoots, and we're going to rate each gun, not every gun on the table, but we're going to lop some in together so you get an idea from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and why each gun performs really well or doesn't perform so well. Mechanics and triggers and sights and things like that, and how good it plays into that specific role. Let's start with the micro guns. Now, if you're buying, let's say, your first gun for your wife or your girlfriend or whatever the case may be, you may see something like this. Oh, this is awesome. Look at this tiny gun. This thing is perfect for my wife. She's small. She has small hands. This is the gun for her. Mrs. Hellcat, can you tell them why this is not probably the best option for a first gun?
For the LCP2, I just think it's not a good gun for the first gun just because it's very small, which means it's very snappy, which means it has a lot of recoil. It's very painful to shoot.
Definitely.
And of course, you know, the sights are very small, milled into the gun itself.
Pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard for you to even get your sight picture set in. And of course, the grip is really small, so it's really hard to hold on to. So you really have to have your fundamentals already memorized at this point before you get to something this small.
Yeah, that's a good point. To be able to learn how to control the recoil and sight alignment and front sight and trigger control and all these kinds of things you have to think about as a new shooter. This is not what you want to start out on. Not picking on the LCP2 because that's a great carry gun, but also the DB9. Again, another awesome 9mm. And you may look at this and be like, man, it's small. It's going to have, there's not much recoil. It is the opposite because now you don't have nearly as much weight to soak up that recoil. You have, again, a very small grip. All these guns have been safety checked as well, though. But you have a very small grip. You have a very thin grip. So as you can tell right there in the camera, it's super small. And you're trying to learn all of these things on a tiny gun like this with a lot of recoil. These guns are probably a 1 on the scale of best gun for your first gun. I would stay away from all of your really micro types of guns, bodyguards, and even like the Glock 42. Glock 42 is pretty good. I mean, it's a decent size 380. But even again, you want something with a little more meat on its bones to definitely learn on there.
Right.
So here's something we did not cover in the original video, and that is revolvers. So revolvers have been around for a long time. They're super reliable and rugged, and you can get all kinds of big calibers out of these guns that you'll never be able to get out of a semi-auto. But these guns are not the best for the new shooter. Why?
They're very hard to shoot.
They're hard to shoot. The sight picture, especially most of the time, even with target sights like what this one has, you're not going to be able to, again, those fundamentals and trigger control really throws a lot of people off. It threw us off even when we were shooting this gun. Really heavy, so they soak up the recoil really well. But you can get these things in some monster calibers, man. And to me, it's really about the mechanics on this gun and learning how to shoot. This is not the best option for a new shooter at all. I'd say because it soaks up weight and the recoil is pretty decent on a lot of these, especially like in 38 Special. I'd bump it up to like a 2, but then again, I would not recommend something like a revolver for a first gun. Absolutely awesome gun, but I would definitely get some more experience before
you need a lot of experience.
Yeah, before you move to something like that. You're going to hear a lot of terms like compact and subcompact and micro and all these kinds of stuff. Keep in mind that compact and subcompact most of the time is the manufacturer giving you their compact and subcompact in relation to their lineup. Okay, so you're even going to hear me say that, but keep in mind that they're just talking about, okay, if this is my compact or full size, well, this might be my subcompact then. But I'm just talking about within my own lineup here. There's no real general standard, because even like what Glock does is this is their compact. Pretty much this 2 pounds of metal and polymer. It's a small full size to me. So compact and subcompact get thrown around a lot. So keep that in mind. But if we're going to the smaller compact type of firearms, let's go to something like the HK Vp9 Sk. All right, 12 round mags. It comes with 2 of them. It's a German style, so it has a different paddle release. A lot of great features on this gun. Ms. Hellcat, what do you think about the HK Vp9 Sk?
I think it's a great gun. It's got a wide grip, so it's going to be, more for you to hold on to than something that's small. It's got, slide serrations on the front and the back. It has amazing sights on it. It has the colored sight in the front, so it's easier to pick up.
Well, these are the luminescent, so when they get light on them, they'll actually shine really bright during the day. These aren't night sights, but they are luminescent sights.
Yep. And of course, it's larger in size, so it's going to, soak up that recoil a lot better for you.
Yeah. And this one even has like features like if you have weaker dexterity in your hands, it has little polymer ears on the back of it, so you can easily rack this gun. And again, it gives you a 12-round capacity. So once you get your it's a decent gun to learn your fundamentals on. There's not going to be a whole lot of recoil. Let's go ahead and cover caliber here. 9mm to me is the best. Now, aside from ammo apocalypses like what we're seeing now, you can generally find 9mm pretty readily. It's cheap, and it is a great defense round for sure. 9mm has made great advances in the past 20 years, 30 years, whatever it's been. 40 and 45 to me are just, 40 is way too snappy for a new shooter. 45 is very expensive, and it's also, you don't want to be worried about recoil when you're trying to learn the fundamentals. So 9 is a great round to start with and probably stick with. I mean, it's really great. I love 45 too, don't get me wrong, but yeah, this gun, like I said, it gives you a lot, but it also gives you the option to carry down the road. Now, one cool thing about this gun is it has interchangeable grip panels. So whereas most guns will give you the option for the back strap, this one actually gives you options for the side strap too, so you can really customize the gun to fit your hands. Again, luminescent sights, you could get night sights, which I think is a great option. One thing you definitely want to have as a new shooter on a gun like this, because you're probably going to be using it for home defense and range, is the option to put a light or a laser on the gun. Okay, that's very important, especially for home defense. But the HK lineup, that's also going to lead you into guns like the CZ P10C, another great option. This one comes with night sights. These things are priced really well too. But it comes with night sights straight from the factory, front and rear slide serrations, an awesome grip panel in the back, reversible magazine release. There's so many great options with these guns that it gives you a lot. Now, I would say you also have guns like the Vp9 Sk, 12 rounds once again. So you can see all of these guns are pretty much in the same size. They're going to be like a compact in the lineup, whatever respective lineup that may be. So in Smith & Wesson, the one above this is 15 rounds, okay? Kind of like this one right here. So you can see this is a compact. This is a 45, by the way. This is the 9. So we're going to take some pictures so you can see, but you could obviously see the difference there, okay? So this is not really a compact in the big scheme of things, and this isn't really a subcompact in the big scheme of things. They're just talking about their lineup. So don't be too allured by the whole compact subcompact thing, because that could be very deceiving. But this is going into one of their full size guns. As far as the HK, the CZ, the M&P, the Glock 26. Now, guns like this, as far as rating, I would say like the M&P, like an 8. The HK an 8.5, CZ 8.5. The Glock is pretty good, but we'll get to that here in a minute. But those guns are going to offer you a lot. Generally, the prices are pretty good on those too, and you can get them at 9mm. So those are awesome options. But those allow you to learn the fundamentals while still giving you the option to carry down the road if you would like to. So that is a great size gun for your first gun. So anywhere from an 8 to an 8.5 on the smaller, we'll call them the smaller compact size guns. So now let's step it down a notch to like your single stacks, like the Walther PPS or the M&P Shield, things like this, or even the new Shield EZ. So these guns are fantastic carry guns, but where these guns are going to lack, well, I don't know. Tell them, Mrs. Headshot, where are these guns really going to lack for your first gun?
So for this gun, it's going to be harder to shoot because the grip is smaller. The grip is not as wide. So the recoil is going to be more because there's less to hold on to for the same size round.
Right. And I mean, that's the whole key to this. And that doesn't mean that you can't learn on a gun like this. It's just going to be a lot harder for you to learn all of these fundamentals. The Shield is an awesome gun, and it's an awesome carry gun, but it's more geared towards concealed carry than it is for a training or beginner type of gun. Again, you can do it, but you're talking about a lot of rounds and a lot of practice to get yourself good with something like this, when you could bump up a little bit that in size. That's going to give you more options. It's not as easy to get a rail on this one because it doesn't have a spot for a rail, so there's certain stipulations and things you can do to mitigate that. but it's about the size. So you're starting to see a key feature here. It's about the size when we're talking about these firearms, because it makes it so much easier to get your fundamentals down. And plus it'll cover a wider range of duties or applications, I should say, for what you're trying to do. And plus, trying to take something like that to the range, that's your only gun, you're either going to need a lot of mags or you're going to be doing a lot of reloading. And really that kind of hurts you too, because you're trying to learn those fundamentals, and then you start to get good, and then, oh, well, I'm out. After 7 rounds, now I got to reload again. So it's just one of those things. Now, you can bump up a little bit. This is one of the new Hellcats. This one actually does have a spot for a light. As you can see, I have this little PL Valkyrie 2 on here, which is pretty cool. But this gun has a lot of recoil too. It has 10 rounds, which is awesome, which is almost the same as like this bigger M&P. But again, the smaller size is going to have more recoil. One of my favorite guns, the P365. This is an amazing carry gun, awesome sights on it. You can really shoot this gun well with a lot of practice. But again, you're going to have some recoil with this gun, and that's the last thing you want to be worried about as a new shooter. You want to be able to learn those fundamentals. It's so important to do that.
Yeah. And like you said, a lot of practice.
A lot of practice. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of practice, and you may want to, when you get your gun, maybe go take a training course from a certified trainer, somebody that can really teach you. Because I can tell you, it took us thousands upon thousands upon thousands of rounds to really get to the point where I could say that we're decent marksmen, and we still have a lot to learn. I mean, I want to start taking courses too, and really knowing how to use my firearm under stress and different things like that. So there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just marksman shooting. There's a difference between learning how to fight with your gun as opposed to just knowing how to shoot a target. But, you know, again, there's time for that, and you know, you can piece these things together to an extent, if you will. But things like the Canic. Let's jump up to guns like, obviously, the TP9 SF Elite. This is an awesome gun. We haven't shot this gun in a while. We need to...
That's what I was saying when we started it.
Yeah, we need to do that. What a great gun. Great price on this gun, too. But this is where you start getting into your smaller, full-size type of guns. This includes the Glock 19, which you're probably going to hear a lot about. Pretty much everybody knows what a Glock is. And these are going to give you now 15 to 18 rounds, or up to 33 in this case. Just depends on mag compatibility. Guns to me are going to be some of your best options. As far as a grade on the smaller single stacks, we forgot to do that. But those are going to be somewhere around a 4 to a 5. Great carry guns, and a lot of these are really great shooters, but again, not for your first gun, I would say. Probably not the best gun for your first gun. Moving into the smaller full sizes, this also includes the CZ. So you see the difference here between the CZ P10C and the CZ P10S. You see the difference between that? This is a compact in their lineup, and this is a subcompact. Well, and then you have, let's grab this, which is a micro. You can see the obvious difference there, where this gun is this is an awesome gun to shoot. It really is. I love that gun. This gun is going to be one of the best training guns on the planet. It is reliable. The prices on these things are amazing. The trigger is awesome. The sights are great. And you have a full grip on this gun, and you can use that to your advantage. Full weight and capacity. Striker fired is the way to go, by the way. Double to single action firearms like the FNX 45 Tactical. That first round is going to be really long, drawn out. Subsequent shots are going to be really nice. But then you have to, this whole thing to me, it's kind of dated. Although I love this gun and I think these guns are awesome, this is not a best first gun. Look at this thing. This thing is massive. 15 rounds of 45 in your hand. But this is just a lot of gun. It's too much. And also that double to single action, I recommend striker fire guns. It's a consistent pull each and every time. And you can really learn your fundamentals a lot easier like that. Also, another gun in that category, probably our favorite handgun on this table, is the Sig Legion. What an awesome, sweet shooting gun. But again, that first round, that first shot is going to be double action. And then your subsequent shots are going to be a nice single action pull. But that's a lot to get used to as a new shooter. Talking about these full-size guns, you have guns like the Taurus G3. This is for more of the budget-minded. Again, striker fired, but a great shooting firearm. This one's going to be a little bit more limited in holsters and accessories and aftermarket sights and things like that, but still, it's a good option for the budget-minded.
Sights are horrible, but...
Yeah, the sights are not great on that gun, but they're usable. I actually like them better than the Glock 19 sights. Yeah, I just do. Another gun in this lineup, this is my home defense gun right here. So you can see I have a light. This is the Olight Balder RL. We just did a review on this. I have an optic. Is an optic a good option on a first gun? Absolutely. I mean, using iron sights, you should know how to use iron sights, but using a red dot just makes things so much easier. If you have older eyes, and I don't have old eyes, but I have bad eyes. This helps me out a lot, man. And just learning, again, the fundamentals of shooting. This makes the job so much easier. And just getting to the range and just learning this stuff, man, because it takes so much, man. We started this channel. We didn't know jack squat about shooting a pistol, honestly. And now I feel, we thought we did, and we even put it on camera for everybody to see. But that was the whole idea behind it, to show people the progression of new shooters on our very own, with some help from the internet and some tips from guys right here on YouTube that I owe a lot to be honest with you. But the P320 is a great option. Again, it's about the size as the M&P compact here. It's about the same size as the Glock 19 and the Canik TP9 SF and the CZ P10C. So this is a compact in their line. This is a compact in their line. And you may be thinking, compact, man, I can get 15 rounds. I could probably carry this gun. I mean, this is over 2 pounds loaded up. It's just too much. And again, we're not talking about carry, home defense, and range. The most important thing is learning the fundamentals, the mechanics of the gun, the battery of arms, how this thing actually works, and dropping the mag. There's so much that goes into this, but I hope that this video can point y'all in the right direction. It's a little side note, the Ruger 57. This is a awesome gun to shoot, but the ammo for this gun is stupid expensive. You have to be able to buy a bunch of ammo. Now is a bad time, but it's going to come back. But this is a bad gun to try to learn the fundamentals on, because every shot is like 60 cents. And that may not sound a lot, but when you shoot a lot, that is a lot. So that's a bad gun to try to learn on. A very expensive gun. So you see the different subsections of guns. These right here, your compacts like your Glock 19, your M&P, your P320. These guns are going to be like a 9 to a 9.5 on the scale. Probably a 10. Because we're doing the best gun for your first gun, we've shown you what the best subsection of gun is, which are these compact, small full-size guns, I'll say. But guns like the Glock, I hate the sights on the Glock. The grip is really wide and bulky, the grip angle. You can learn all these things, so I'm just kind of complaining, but just to give you an idea, a gun like this, okay, if we're just talking about the Glock 19, I'd call it like an 8.5. But if I gave you a gun like the CZ P10C, the grip angle is much more natural to me. I'm a better shooter with this gun. I like the sights way more, and I like the trigger more. I'd give this one like a 9.5. If we're talking about the P320, where I like the trigger on this gun. I love this one actually comes with a red dot on top. Love, love, love the P320 and the way it feels in my hand. This is an even more natural gun for me. I'd actually give this one a 9.5, no qualms about it. The M&P, this is more of a budget type of firearm, but lifetime warranty, and Smith & Wesson just makes awesome firearms. I would give this one an 8.5 to a 9, because this one has a pretty good trigger, not as good as the P320, but awesome grip texturing, although it's kind of rough. Miss Hellcat doesn't enjoy shooting it as much with that rougher grip texture, but it's great when you're at the range and you're sweating and things like that. But this is an awesome gun. So in the subsection of smaller full-size guns, Glock is probably my least favorite. P320 and the CZ are my favorite. M&P coming in a close second or third, however you want to look at it. The Canik, again, another budget-friendly type of firearm. This gun is absolutely awesome. I'm not as huge of a fan as the sights, although they are kind of cool. Not a huge fan of them, but this gun, I would give it like 7.5 to an 8. This is actually a really awesome gun, and they're very reliable. So that's how we would grade those guns inside of this. Again, it just comes to, you know, trigger control, mechanics, and how you do with the gun in your hands. So I can't tell you everything, but even the Taurus G3, budget friendly. This gun, I would give all day long. I would give it like a 7.5 inside of the small full-size guns. And the only reason I say that is because I haven't shot enough rounds to Taurus to definitively say that I would trust my life to this gun. All the features and stuff, not the biggest fan of the sights. But this gun is actually a great shooting gun. And more rounds, as we put more and more rounds and it turns out to be reliable, I would grade that gun a bit higher. The grip texturing and everything on that gun is fantastic. So grading, like, let's say you're like, listen, Hellcat, I know I want to carry a gun. I know I can't carry some of these bigger full-size guns. What about your single stacks and the guns like that you've shown there? I'd say my favorite has to be the P365 for obvious reasons. It gives you 10+1 capacity. The grip texturing is amazing. Sights are the best I've ever used on any pistol. So if you want to go that route, in that subsection, I'd give that gun a 9.5 out of 10, almost a 10. Some people have had some issues with these in the beginning, but those guns have turned out to be solid. Guns like the Hellcat, I would give this one probably an 8. You'd probably grade it lower. Miss Hellcat doesn't really like this gun, but I think it's actually a really good gun. 11+1 capacity out of a little gun like that. That's impressive. Not as good as a shooter as a P365. The Shield and the PPS, both of those I'd equally give those 8 to 8.5. Yeah. Those are really good guns. But again, not the best gun for the first gun. Yeah. And then if we're going over to the small subcompact type of guns like your HK or your CZ. HK and the CZ, man, I would give both of these guns a 9.5 in their respective category. I'd give them a 9.5 each because these guns are just fantastic.
Yeah, that one's great.
The M&P would be right behind it at an 8.5 to 9. And those guns are just, they're really good, but they're not as good to learn the fundamentals on, which is why I graded them lower. So I'm kind of doing a grade
on each section.
So I'm kind of doing the section grade and then the subsection grades within the section. Yeah. You know, because if you say, hey, I absolutely want to have a smaller gun to carry down the road, and you don't want to buy something like this right off the bat, then, you know, at least you have an idea of where I feel about these guns inside of their respective subsections. So, Now, we do have the issue of safety or no safety, and I'm talking about manual safety. So, obviously, the biggest safety on any gun is in between your eyes, okay? You have to be very smart and safe with each and every firearm. Treat it as it's loaded, and the rules of safety are just, you have to follow them. That's not an exception, okay? But what I'm talking about is the manual safety. So like on this Taurus G3 here, it has a manual safety. This is really one of the few guns that actually only comes with a manual safety now. I find that a lot of new shooters absolutely want a manual safety, but once you understand that by keeping my finger off of the trigger, guns like this are designed to be, most modern guns are designed to be loaded with a round in a chamber, ready to go. And the reason for that is because of stress and what that can do to your motor skills, your fine motor skills, and understanding that there's a bad guy that's coming to attack you, and now you have to make that decision. And the last thing you want to be fumbling with is a safety. So if you have a safety on your firearm, each and every time you take it to the range, you want to practice having that thing on and sweeping it off. Having it on, sweeping it off, so you get that repetitive action down pat. We do not like safeties, especially on our home defense and carry guns and things like that. There's a difference between keeping it in a safe place away from your kids and people that you don't want to have access to it. You have to do that, but you don't want to be fumbling around with a safety. Learn to keep your finger off of the trigger until you're ready to fire, and there should be no issues. But, you know, safeties are one of those things that a lot of new people are gonna want, but you're going to find most modern striker fire guns don't come with safeties at all. So you'll have to kind of get used to that. But there are some options. If you want to go with like the Vp9 subcompact or compacts, those have options for with or without safety, manual safeties. And again, the Taurus G3, the Shield, and a couple others come with an option with or without a safety.
The main reason we're making this video is because we've noticed that there are a lot of new shooters, and that's amazing, and that's what we want, right? Wanted to let everybody know what they should be starting out with and not going with what everybody's telling you. Like, you're going to go to the store to get a gun, and they're going to offer you, like he said, oh, I want to go in there and my wife's going to love this small gun, and they're probably going to sell it to you because they want to make money. But the thing is, what's best for you as a new shooter is probably not what they're going to offer you. So we just wanted to let you know that, because from when we first started, we started on these smaller concealed carry guns, and we had to practice and practice and practice. Nobody told us that we should have gone with one of these larger size guns, practiced and gotten better with them first before we went to something, you know, for concealed carry.
Yeah, because those are two totally different worlds when you're talking about strictly one of the smaller concealed carry guns. Again, it goes back to the battery of arms and working the firearm and getting those fundamentals down on such a small gun is really hard to do, man, and it takes a long time to get good with one of those. These guns, these 15 to 18 round guns, are absolutely perfect. Now, this is not the entire gamut of firearms that you're going to find in a gun store, not even close, but this gives you a good representation of the different sections and subsections of firearms and how we rate them and how we like them. We give them a lot to think on and some more information. Anything else you want to add to this video?
Nope. I think you said it all there, big guy.
If you have any more questions or whatever, leave them down below, and if I can't answer it, one of our community members here will. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.